Right, so let's talk about what's going on here. In terms of we're basically comparing, do we automate um, carry on? And let's see what the situation is. So what we have to first of all do is calculate the current cost per year of as we are. And it tells us that in terms of oak, it's 600 per meter cubed, and you have 100,000. So you have basically 600 times 100,000, which is, of course, six, and then you have lots of zeros, 600, and then five zeros, one, two, three, four, five, and which takes us to 60 million. Your craftsmen they tell you that you're paying each of them 55,000 a year, and you have 20 craftsmen. So in effect, 2 times 55 is 110. And then I have four zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 1.1 million. Total replacement tools, annual replacement 200,000. Other variable costs 50,000. You're not renting at the point. So the point here is that we have a process where we make this. We have craftsmen who do work for us. The key point here is it's so important to highlight this. It says famous furniture. These are your strengths: high quality, unique, handcrafted. So these are all things to think about when you start thinking, oh, do I automate this? And because that's what your stakeholders see as value, right? So 60 million, I'm just getting my calculator right. 60 million plus 1.1 million plus 200,000 plus 50,000 is 61,350,000. Right. So that's where we are. Let's look at the situation. It's telling us a couple of things. It's telling us that, okay, listen, I'll just change my pen color for this. It's telling us, okay, listen, if you decide to automate, you will have a rental cost of 100,000. No problem. Reduction in your tool replacement cost 50%. So your tool replacement will halve to 100,000. You will have a reduction in your workforce of 70%. So only 30% of this will matter. So 0.3 times 1100000, and that becomes 330,000. Your variable overheads will reduce. Your reduction will be 20%. So you have a reduction of 20%. So only 80% of this will matter. 0.8 times 50,000 is 40,000. Yes. And then your oak costs, it says you'll have an increase in oak usage by 1%. So 60 million times 1.01 is 600,000. So that's what you're going to have. That's just from what I see. That's what I've calculated, and now I can add all of this together. 600,000 plus 330,000 plus 100,000 plus 40,000 plus another 100,000 for rental. That comes to 61,170,000. So this is what I get. Let's just check the answers. Yes, we're there. That's good. So we're correct. So at least it's really important because I don't want to start talking if that's not the case. So that is correct. That is correct. So now what we need to discuss, I mean, technically this is cheaper. So the first part says on financial grounds, grafters should, yes, agree to rent the machine. And then this wants you to go through a series of other factors. Yeah, and I think here the best thing is to look at some of the things they talk about, and I can expand on that. And sort of the first thing is this question of quality. Remember that your USP was based on high quality, artisan, made especially sort of unique. Made. You can see here everything here is at risk. Everything here. So you're really highlighting this. Unique, handcrafted, is all at risk in terms of quality. So that's the first thing. So now, again, the question here is that are you going to literally fire everyone because you're just reducing the workforce? So because you are, there are redundancy issues, but not so much that. You're dealing with an artistic sort of the culture here is very artistic, very probably communal, and now you're bringing in machines, and they probably detest the idea of machines doing their work. So morality is an issue. Of course, now you have a machine. Have you quite? I think these two are very much connected in terms of the extent of this machine. How tried is it? Have we truly tested the extent of its efficiency? It could break down, and if a machine breaks down and we become used to it, then productivity falls. So there's an issue there in terms of choosing to rent a machine. Again, your customers again are critical. Have you done any work with them or surveys to find out what they really want? How do you create unique, handcrafted products with machines? If it is the skill of the artisan that's necessary. So that's the problem. You might actually lose quite a lot of. So employee morale, employee revolt, and local environment revolt as well. Also, I suppose there is the question of the environment. You know, the environment is a stakeholder. They are living. It's a stakeholder. So it's important to highlight the environment as a stakeholder. Right. Okay, good. Then the question goes on to ask, goes on to ask, they have 100 years of experience, wow, of experiencing oak furniture. The craftsman activities are considered a tourist attraction. People travel from miles to see the craftsmen working. Their reputation is the main reason people pay this, right? We've been talking about this. If they were to go ahead with this, grafters do not plan to advertise it and have worked out a very low cost way to redesign the viewing area to ensure the machinery is not on display. I mean, that's just preposterous. So what do you have now? So a number of things. So ethics, remember there's OPPIC. So that's what you're always referencing. Yes. And if you think about it here, the ones that do make sense here is a question of honesty, professional behavior, integrity, honesty, professional behavior, and integrity. So you're not mentioning the change. You're deceiving consumers. You're not being honest with consumers. You have made many people redundant, but you're creating the impression that they're happy. And you literally have not mentioned that that's not exactly what you do anymore. You're selling a wrong product. People are coming to see people work, and you're not really allowing people to see that. So that is an ethical issue that you need to see. So whenever you have ethical questions, just try and create headings of either. Of course, this confidentiality won't really make sense here. I think objectivity neither, but so I think it was really integrity and professional behavior um, that were the key ones. So you're isolating the key ethical issues to discuss. Finally, you have a scenario where you have machinery. The people who give these machines or have approached them to do this, to get them to literally take their machines on. Now they produce them. They approach them because they have a previous relationship with the FD at Grafters. So the FD has a bonus to reduce costs. So you can see that there is a threat here. There's a threat here. There are a number of threats. There's self-interest threat. There's a conflict of interest. There's a familiarity threat, right? All these are threats because the question is, how can the FD be objective? How can the FD be objective when you already knew machinery? What was the procurement process? Have they just approached you because, again, you have you get a bonus by being able to cut costs? So, is the FD doing this in the interest of the organization? I suppose you have to look at the saving that was made, if you like, or the difference. I mean, for how much really to throw away 100 years of of an intangible asset? It just seems a bit too much. And the other argument, of course, is that these kind of short-term costs, the FD is thinking very short-term in terms of this question of a bonus. Um, and so there's a lack of goal congruence here. What we're trying to do is to get the FD to act in the best interest of the organization. So even if they were going to take this machinery business on, you want to make sure it's procured fairly, I think is some of the key points I would argue. So here the saving of 180 is relatively small. This could rise. There's a familiarity threat here. Um, yeah, so I think there's a problem there. The bonuses are short-term measures, and the objectivity is compromised because we can't be sure that you are acting in the best interests of the business. Cool.